Hello everybody. Today we're going to go over the invasion game mode. The first thing we have to cover is safety. There are 3 gun safety rules, and if you follow all of them, then you shouldn't have a problem. First, always assume that the gun is loaded. Second, finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Third, don't point a gun at someone until the game is on. Second is eye protection. Everyone needs to have proper eye protection, either Airsoft rated or you can use power tool rated. The third rule is do not go outside the area of operation or the AO. We have a lot of neighbors on each one of these properties, and we don't want to have any problems because we have guns and they look like guns, but they're not real guns, and the other people on those properties might have real guns and confuse it, so we don't want to have any problems with that. 4, this is very important. If there is a medical emergency, everyone who knows that there is a medical emergency must echo to everyone else the word emergency, emergency. So stop what you're doing and everyone say emergency, and then we can proceed from there. This helps tell the whole field that we should stop playing and help someone. The 5th rule is we all need biodegradable BBs. A lot of the properties that we'll be playing on will potentially be doing cattle or animals or planting. Now that we've covered safety, let's hop over to hits and respawns and take a look at that. So unlike traditional Airsoft, we're not just going to be getting hit and then going back to a respawn. It's a little bit more complicated, but it will be very fun. I guarantee it. We've tried this out in previous games and it's been really fun. So you get hit. Now either you have 2 choices. One, you can be dead, or you can say medic. If you're dead, just go right back to the respawn and that's your choice. You can do that. If you want to do medic and get a revive, what you're supposed to do is say medic and then lay down on the ground, and you can talk still, and a medic has to come. There's only 1 medic per squad for the attacking team, not the defending team. And they will have a rope, one of these ropes here, and they will have to tie that rope around the person's arm. And you cannot self-revive either as a medic. But you tie a rope, now that person's back in the game. So now they've field respawned, and they can only do that 1 time. They get hit again, hit! Now they have a silent respawn, they go back to the base, and that's it. Each medic on the attacking team has 3 ropes per squad. If they use all of their ropes on their squad members, and they have no more left, if they want to replenish those, they have to go back to a respawn point. Now, for the defensive side, because the defenders are outnumbered, we want to give them advantage. So each person on the defending team will have 3 ropes, so each person is a medic. And it will be the same thing as this chart, as I explained. It will be the same rule set. If they want to respawn or replenish their respawns, they can go back to one of their points. You are allowed to shoot at the medics. You're allowed to shoot at, well, try not to shoot the people laying down, but you can shoot the medics. And that will add a little bit of dynamic gameplay and some other minor objectives. Now let's move on to the objectives. These are the objectives. They are Gatorade bottles. They will be sitting at each one of these points. There will be 5 points in this particular game mode. We might have different amounts for different game modes that we do in the future, but for right now we have 5. So there will be 1 case of 6 at a point, another case of 6 at a point. And the idea is when you reach that point and you capture it and all the other enemy team is dead, you can have the time to take one of these out, open it up, and you have to finish it. In order to capture the point. And they're very small bottles, so it shouldn't be too bad. Now this point is captured for the attacking side. To keep things simple, the attackers have to just capture the point and drink the bottle. And now that point becomes their point. And for sake of time, none of the defenders can retake that point. The attackers, however, have only 1 hour to capture all 5 points. The defenders obviously have an hour to defend them. The defenders only need to maintain that last point or whichever one they choose. The attackers will arrive at a certain time window. For example, 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And in that time window, they will arrive, and the defenders do not know at what point they arrive. So there will be some element of surprise. Once they reach the first infill point or infiltration point, there will be a line at which once they cross, the timer will start. And I or one of the squad leaders will start the timer so that we can keep track of that. As soon as we cross that line and the enemy sees us, the defenders see us, they can open fire. As far as respawns work and which point to go to, this infill point will serve as the main base for the attackers. You can imagine that there are multiple trucks waiting in an invasion to replenish those forces. So this will be the main point. If they are going and they take a point, now that can become a replenishment point for medic or to respawn. As you can imagine, the supply lines would continue up into each point. Now the defenders start out with more points of respawn. However, they are quite far away. So they will have to think about that. If they have to lose a point, now they only have a certain amount of options, and towards the end it will get easier for the attackers and harder for the defenders. So if the attackers over here attack this first point, they got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the defenders, let's say they have 1, 2, 3, 4. If the attackers knock out 1, 2, 3, or these people have to go back, to any of these bases to revive, and they can choose whichever is the best. So if they're being blocked, they can go to this one or whatever. If the attacking team dies, they have to either respawn in field, same thing with the defenders, or they have to go back to this respawn point. Now, if we say that all these points are now reds, and they die here, they must go back to any of these points to respawn. Now let's talk about team structures. Now let's look over the attacking team structure. Each squad will have a maximum of 5 people. One of those is the leader, the team leader. He will be responsible for guiding and also communicating with a commander for all of these together, or one of the main team leaders if there is that, if we don't have enough for a commander. The second person will be an assigned medic. That person has the 3 ropes and they're able to revive anyone except for themselves, and that's it. Third can be a rifleman or a radioman. If you want to use a radio, you might want to give the radio to somebody else so the team leader isn't having to direct troops and do a radio at the same time. You can just tell the radioman to tell the other squads what's going on. The rest of the 2 will be riflemen. You should also pre-plan in your squad to assign a second in command. That person will assume control if the team leader dies. Then the team leader will respawn, come back to the squad, and reassume control. Now, the defenders are able to do whatever squad structure they want. They might do this similar structure where they have squads, or they might just do insurgency style where they're hiding in bushes. But one thing that I want to encourage the defenders to do in future events is to spend time planning to think about which defensive strategies you can use to thwart the enemy. Think about making forts, making brush cover, making ammo reserves or machine gun posts, making bunkers, having diversions, flanking elements, camouflage, drones, thermals, and the defenders, depending on the property and their comfort level with the owner, they will be allowed to use some form of transport to go back and forth between bases. However, They cannot use this transport in combat. It has to be purely logistical, and no one can shoot at the vehicles because we do not want to have any vehicle accidents. For most game modes, we will not use firecrackers or any sort of fireworks unless the owner is okay with that. As far as weather is concerned, we will not stop unless there is freezing rain, a heavy downpour, or lots of ice that makes the ground very treacherous to run on. As a part of this game mode, the defenders will be outnumbered, but that is by design. The people who are defending know the property and know the land. They also have the uphill advantage and the defensive advantage. Thank you for listening to this mission brief, and I hope you have a great time.